when I went and spoke to protesters, there was a whole range of opinions. Some people said it never happened. Some people said it's
Of course they happened. No.
And then you were saying some details didn't happen. So
I can tell you.
How many people do you think were killed
according to the Israeli reports, the official Israeli reports, the papers that were submitted even to International Court of Justice, 1,129 Israelis were killed. 1,129.
Okay.
Out of those, 735 were civilians, and the rest were military and police.
In today's video, Bassem Youssef goes head-to-head with Triggernometry in a heated debate about Gaza and the war going on right now. Right from the jump, Bassem came stacked with facts, especially when breaking down what happened on October 7th, and he didn't hold back, calling out the usual one-sided takes and shutting down the misinformation flying around. You could tell the hosts weren't ready for how solid Bassem's arguments were. So let's dive in and see how Bassem Youssef schools Triggernometry in this heated debate.
Okay. So 735 civilians. Babies, one baby were under the age of 1 year, which is Mela Cohen, 10-month-old, no decapitation. A total of 49 children that were killed under the age of 19. 49, not 40 decapitated babies. There was no gang. There was, of course, there might be like a sexual violence, but like the whole idea about systemic, that did not happen. Again, according to the Israeli papers that were submitted to the international court. So now we have the truth. 735 civilians. Mm-hmm. I don't know, 170, 200. I don't know how many people were kidnapped. Now, if you look at these numbers now, does this justify 30,000 people killed? No. But you created like this shock value at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. People... babies, but cutting babies out of their wombs. Okay. That didn't happen.
Okay. Well, I'm relieved it didn't happen because it sounded...
And again, that doesn't mean that what happened is good. No, it doesn't mean that what happened is acceptable. But what I'm saying that when you go with the people with an outrageous story...
Yeah. No,
you are priming people to accept what will happen next.
Well, interesting. Let me just ask one point on this, because you mentioned earlier, what would happen if London was invaded by a foreign country? What would happen if London was invaded by the Irish? The Irish have reasons to be angry with England, right? And they had murdered 749, did you say, innocent civilians, and didn't decapitate but killed a baby. If you say people with their back against the wall are going to react, then how are people going to react in that situation?
By the way, my example that I said about London, right. What if like a foreign country come in and this immediate country, I would be here, London or England are actually the position of the Palestinians. What I'm saying is, if you come in and you have your whole country like invaded and your whole military is decimated and you have nothing, you will have resistance forces that will be radicalized.
I understand.
So that was my use. But your use is that like if London was attacked now and London's still powerful and can retaliate, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is, if during the IRA and the Troubles in Ireland, where we did have terrorism in this country, they had launched an invasion into northern England and slaughtered 750, but actually it would have to be, what's the population of Israel? About 10 million, so it would have to be 6 times that. So they slaughtered over 3,000 people, 3,500 people, innocent people, didn't decapitate them. Let's say there was no gang rape. How do you think England would react?
I don't know. But the thing is, using these arguments, I think it's a distraction to what's happening right now. Because basically what we're saying, I think these are all ways to distract the conversation about like, let's talk about what England would say and let's forget the killing that's happening on daily basis.
No, it's precisely because I care about the killing of innocent people now that I think we have a responsibility to try and think about how these intertwined and intertangled mutual claims of violence and whatever get untangled.
Pause. If you're enjoying this video so far, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. Now Bassem hits the host with a what if scenario to get them thinking. What if a foreign country invaded London, crushed its military and occupied the city? How would people react? He wasn't excusing violence. He was pointing out that when people are pushed to the brink, resistance is inevitable. And honestly, Bassem's point hold up when you look at the facts. Groups like Human Rights Watch have documented how Israel's blockade has devastated Gaza's economy and healthcare system. Over half the population lives in poverty, and daily life is a struggle for survival. Amnesty International has also reported systemic human rights abuses, making it clear this isn't just about isolated attacks. It's about years of oppression that fuel desperation. Bassem didn't just bring facts, he challenged the whole narrative.
You're missing something. Did actually England do to Ireland what Israelis did to Palestinians for
Yes.
75 years?
Yes.
For 75 years.
Worse.
I would bet my life
You should speak to some Irish people.
that England did not for 75 years kill 100,000 Irish people.
You should speak to some Irish people.
Did it, no, in the 20th century, did it kill 100,000 people in the 20th century?
Probably not, but that doesn't mean that the Irish people didn't have very strong reasons
Absolutely.
to feel.
Absolutely.
Some people felt that their terrorism was justified. Of course, there'll be lots of people that disagree. Anyway, I guess the question in terms of moving forward, like how do you move forward, is what would you like? So let's say, again, for the sake of argument, Israel stops bombing, pulls out. What would you like to see happen from there? Because you talked about the plight of the people in Gaza and in the West Bank. Let's say that all of that ends, and you talked about land. And this is one of the things I always find interesting, because obviously this is where there's such a big conflict because two peoples are making a claim to the same land. What should happen in terms of, like, when you say give back the land, which bit of land?
Well, first of all, if the war stops today, the first thing do we need to have Israeli officials being, arrested and put to be tried for their war crimes.
Okay, let's say that happens.
Okay, and then let's talk about the bigger picture.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about the bigger picture. Like, what in your opinion, what's the origin of the conflict? Why is it a problem?
This is why I said at the beginning, I'm asking questions from the point of view of an uninformed person, because I'm uninformed.
Okay.
So you're going to have to tell us what you think is the solution.
Well, a shorter...
For example, on Ukraine, I think I know about it. I'm from the area. It's something I've spoken to a lot of very well knowledgeable people about. I've read lots of books about it. I can tell you what the solution is for Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. And I said it on day one of the conflict. I said how it would end, which is probably how it will end, right?
So what happened if Ukrainian refugees fled from Ukraine, came in here and claimed 20% of the land of England? Would you give it to them?
Probably not.
No.
That's exactly what happened after the Holocaust. You have people coming from Europe,
Okay.
coming to Palestine.
So how does this get solved now?
No, to get solved, we need to talk about the origin. You have people coming in. 1947, there was the partition. Of course, the Palestinians are like, why are we giving 55% of our land to 30% of the people that 20 years ago, they were not even in that country? So, of course, they said no. So Israel said, like, well, no, we're keeping it. So they had the war. And, of course, Israel won. And now Israel's like, well, you lost it. You don't have any claim for it now. And then after 1948, Israel took 78% of the land, leaving only 22% for the Palestinians. With 1967, all of that was gone. And now Israel comes like, well, we gave you these deals and you didn't say it, but it was already a horrible deal. So you cannot really negotiate. You cannot tell me like,
let's accept all
no,
of
I'm
this.
just telling you, like, those Ukrainians who wanted 20%, you didn't want to give them. They ended up taking 70% of England. And it's like, well, we told you we want only 20. Now we're going to take 70. They're like, no, but I cannot accept it. So the whole idea about land, you have people, and now it's become, and I have to be, I cannot really like kick out like 9 million Israelis who've been there.
But that's why I'm asking.
It's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there. But at a certain point, the Palestinian Authority accepted 22%, which is the Oslo Accord. And even that was sabotaged by Israel. So you are basically in a position where the Palestinians have to, they are pushed into accepting really bad deals time after time after time after time again.
Honestly, I wish Bassem had answered Triggernometry's question about what Israel and Palestine should do next. It felt like a missed opportunity. But still, Bassem brought some solid facts to the table. He broke down how the claims of decapitated babies and systemic assaults were false, backed by the Israelis' own reports. And that matters because those shocking stories were used to justify Israel's intense bombings in Gaza. Bassem explained how these exaggerated narratives make people more likely to accept harsh military responses, no matter how many civilians get caught in the crossfire. And with over 30,000 Palestinians killed recently, including thousands of kids, it's hard to ignore the double standard in how the world reacts. Bottom line, Bassem made it clear that you can't have a real conversation about peace without first addressing the root causes of Palestinian suffering. But this is it for today's video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comment section down below.